Hello, man. Hello, Mgtows. Hello, man. Hello, Mgtows. Let me get my sound right here. A little low today, isn't it? Maybe it's sound right here. Low today. Let me so they got the Hangouts on the air thing. Let me check my settings real quick to make sure. Okay, default microphone, Yeti, save. Let me check my settings real quick to make sure. There we go. Default microphone, Yeti, save. Okay, that was kind of strange. There we go. Okay, there we go. It was kind of hard figuring out that one. I just reset it. Anytime your sound's off or anything's off on one of these things, go up to the settings, re-click on the settings. I plugged in and I unplugged my my webcam, because I was I bought a new one, and I'm gonna start running that one soon to see if I can get some better quality. But we'll see. I bought the Logitech, the new one, the 960 or something. I can't remember which one it was, but that won't come for a few weeks because it's coming from Poland, or it's coming from somewhere. I can't remember. R.I.P. Chris. I can't do. Oh, is Chris not with us anymore? Okay. So I wanted to talk about a couple things today, and middle children, and I wanted to get into that subject and everything, but I scheduled that earlier today, and I wanted to talk about something a little bit different first, and it'll just be a short thing. Lately, Mgtow had a video made about him by Vox Day. Vox Day is some so-called intellectual. He's a far right intellectual. He runs around. He's got some weird metaphysics ideas about life. He doesn't do much philosophy, and he believes in evil, and he called Mgtow zombies. He called them evil and everything. Vox Day breaks it down like this, and I wanted to caution you guys, when we look at logic and we look at these things, what they do, and I wanted to explain a little how they're going to do this. How they these people, they always come with a preset narrative on what they want to do, and what they really want to do is destroy Mgtow, and they want us to stop proselyting the young kids and telling the young kids that they'll probably get a divorce if they get married, and children between 18 and 35, there's almost a 92% chance of you getting a divorce. But then they add in all the old people that do second divorces up, and that's how they get their 45 to 50% thing. So it's about the people that matter are the young people, the breeders, and they want to get you already into the position of slavery. So how do they do this? Vox Day does that to us. All the normies, all the blue pill normies do this. They want the young kids to mate. They're going to make up a million reasons, but they do this. He breaks it down for Mgtow, the old Mgtows against the young Mgtows. That's how they're going to do it. There's this group of old Mgtows, and how they're going to say it is, there's this group of old Mgtows. They've seen divorce. They can understand why, but blah, blah, blah. They're just old and they failed. And then there's the young Mgtows. And the young Mgtows, they're going to say, can see it by observation. And then it always swings back to the side of, but never believe blah, 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 that you're going to become one of those, because there's a chance that you can be on the winning end of this thing. But from the stats, we know you can't be on the winning end of this thing. It's 92%. So what they're going to do is, it is from the old people. They have experienced these things, but that's not going to happen to you because you're young, and I'm going to teach you how to do it. And that's what they say. There's answers. What this comes is, what I really look at in these things is, when I look at it, and I look at what people want from marriage and what people nowadays want from marriage. Marriage is a simple system that introduces you to the slavery system. You will become, if you get a divorce, you will end up taking care of those kids and her for 18 to 24 years. And that's going to be a living nightmare. The government wants slaves, you, to do that. And this goes down to what I call, it goes down to the Willie Lynch letters. Willie Lynch letters, and if none of you guys know what the Willie Lynch letters are, Willie Lynch was a guy in 1791 that's, here's how we're going to make slaves. And one of the things that he says, and I'll read you this, this from the actual Willie Lynch letter. Now, I want you to think about pitting the old Mgtows against the young Mgtows. When it is, Willie Lynch says, distrust is stronger than envy, stronger than adulation, respect, or admiration. The black slaves or the slaves receiving the indoctrination shall be carried out, will become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years, he says. Don't forget, you must pitch the old slaves against the young slaves and the young slaves against the old slaves. It's a two-spear thing. You talk to the old ones, you talk to the young ones, and you pit them against each other. You have to pit the light-skinned slaves against the dark-skinned slaves, the brown people, the white people. There's, today's modern slavery system works that way. And the way to indoctrinate slaves is through philosophy. And this is the philosophy of the owners, the light skin against the dark skins. You have to pitch the males against the females. This is why I don't do anti-feminism. Mgtow is about men. That's all it's about. And men from a certain age to a certain age were all Mgtows. And I never fall down this trap of pitting the old Mgtows against the young Mgtows, the men against the woman, the light-skinned ones or the brown people. You know how they do it. They've always got these racial intentions behind them. He says, but it is necessary that your slave trust and depend on us. And us is just U.S. The system of indoctrination to slavery is marriage. You trust U.S., us. They must love and respect and trust only us gentlemen, he says. He says, if it is intensely for the 1 year, or the slave themselves will remain perpetually distrustful of each other. And then he goes on in his doctrine of how to do this, the cardinal principles of speaking to these lesser people and stuff like that. So today, in all honesty, today is Juneteenth. And Juneteenth is an important day for us slaves, us ex-slaves, and the guys that got out of that philosophy of being a slave. It's Juneteenth. This is the day where I think that is Mgtow Day. Because on this day, Juneteenth, we celebrate our freedom from whatever this is the day that actually the slaves, I live right down the street from what's called the Oberlin extension. I can drive my bike over there, and there's a big sign, and this is the last stop. It says, this is the last stop on the it's right before the lake. The ships used to pick up the slaves. The ships used to pick up the slaves right before the lake, and they would take them over to Canada. They had to cross the Ohio River. They had to go up through Streetsboro, through Portage County, through the Kent area, up here. They made their way by following the rivers up, and then the last river is the third river, which is the Black River, and then you follow the Black River up to the Oberlin extension, and it was a harrowing journey at that time. And the slaves that actually made it, God bless them. But on this day, Juneteenth, when Vox Day talks about Mgtows as zombies, he says, these are the zombies. That's how the men that are choosing to veer away from this system. The system is set up to get you into slavery, and they all want to agree on this because it's best for their society, not your society, their society. And it just seems to work. But the rules always stay the same. The way they're going to destroy Mgtow is exactly the way Willie Lynch instructed them to get slaves. They're going to pit the old against the young, and the young against the old. They're going to pit. Whenever you see somebody start explaining Mgtow, and he goes, and we see it all the time from the so-called intellectuals, and most people won't catch it, what they're doing. It's a form of rhetorics. They're going to go, well, there's these old guys that they just had bad luck with girls, and don't disregard those guys. And they have the stories that'll back up but there's these young guys that need to know just how to pick a good woman. And then all of a sudden it's the unicorn thing. If there's a unicorn out there for you, but don't be like these old guys, they say. Don't be like these guys over here. You're special. You're so special, and you're going to make it. No, the facts are, and they will always be. And Vox lied. He said that within Christianity, that the divorce rate was less than 10%. He was using a state statistic. All state statistics are for like 4.3, 3.7, 1.2, 2.3. They all fall between that and like 8 and 9. And 8 and 9 would be, yes, in Las Vegas, they measure these things. But when you use yearly statistics, and this is where I started my study, you use state statistics for one thing, because you have time periods in which these are going to happen. 18, let's say 18 to 40. And that's 22 years. And then how many people are going to get divorced in 22 years if it's 4.3? Yeah, a lot. So over a lifetime, you can see that every year 4.3, every year 4.3, every year. But he's saying that's okay. That's okay. The state statistics work. But you have to do them linearly, because they're yearly statistics. They'll say 2.3. So 2.3 over 10 years is 23%. So over another 10 years, it's double that. And over that another 10 years, your lifetime is going to be at least from 18 to 60, 40 years. So you got to double that 4 times. Most stats run around 3 to 4.6. So you can see when I got my I would look through these stats, and I said, well, if this state is 4.6 and I did it over 40 years, then it becomes higher than 100%. Okay, now you have to start breaking the stats down between the ages of this and this, and that's what these guys are goofy. They're goofy, and they don't see. So don't pay attention to guys. Vox Day is the craziest fucker I've ever seen on the internet, and that's just the truth. So since we're talking about family structure and that stuff, I figured that I would talk a little bit about the middle child, and once in a while what I see in here is let me dry my mouth. It's very dry here. It's very hot here today. I just walked in a second before I clicked on that. Somebody knocked on the door, and then I was out in the backyard. I was bringing Dougie in and doing something real quick, and I was like, oh shit, I started sweating, and I was like, oh sure, great, that's perfect for a podcast. I'll come in and I'll sweaty and just do a podcast, but that's okay. I'm a man. You can expect these things. So we're taking a look at the middle child and all this stuff. The middle child, what is the middle child, and what should we look at? And sometimes I started thinking about this when I was looking at. I look at every individual Mgtow. I pretty much go through every Mgtow, and I look at who they are, what they're doing, where they come from. I try to look at their family structures. I try to look at a lot of Mgtows come from single homes, where they're going to be the only child. Single moms, they got only child. They're going to be 2 children. Sometimes Nowadays, it's not going to be more than two if she's a single mom. Sometimes in these family situations, that's when I can notice a vast difference in the MGTOW when you have a couple, a guy from a normal family, which normal means father, mother. The father goes, off to work. The mother goes off to work, and they raise a couple, and that's how it's supposed to work. But it never seems to do that. So, but when we look at the middle child, it's always funny, and then it gives us the. I didn't really want to talk about total the middle child. I wanted to talk about the types of children that come from broken homes and the types of people that we see come into MGTOW. And one of the observations that I have is a lot of times when I hear what family situation these guys, the guys in the middle children or the oldest children or have brothers and sisters often think about Mgtow differently. There's a slight difference. The kids that come from single family, one child baby mama homes, they often become they become these MGTOWs like, I don't know, who would like a TFM MGTOW. They become the people that come from the single family homes or the middle children from these other homes, the normal homes, which I don't know what normal is, so don't quote me on that. Nowadays there is no normal, but come from those, they have a singular sort of. They're already used to being. They're already used to being independent. They're considered to be neglected, the middle child. So we started from the middle child, and we'll go out to the other two, the oldest child, and we'll go out to the single baby mama child and everything. But and I just wanted to start a discussion on this because I think we all notice there is a difference between the family structures that we see the men coming in from, and there is a difference in the men. So I just picked the middle child it's middle child syndrome, they call it, and I don't know if it's a diagnostical syndrome. They seem to be in the low bar. There's a slight description of it. They're not bold. Some of them seem to be envious. These are the things that they say, but I find out that what I do find with the middle child and Mgtow is that they're very independent. We get a lot of these guys. Okay, I come from a sister. I'm a middle child myself. We're very independent. I have older sisters and brothers. I have younger sisters and brothers. So you get this. You get a different outlook on life when you're raised that way. You're not the most important. You're the middle child. You're the guy that's not going to get the attention. You're used to going out in the backyard and finding a hammer and doing something on your own. 52% of Americans come from the middle child, and that would be a stat that would be in Mgtow and everything. Now, I can't tell you, since I haven't had a really great look at about family situations and the children and everything, and how Mgtow can think about these things. And I just basically wanted to strike up a conversation so maybe people do start talking about these things, so we get a better general idea of who we're talking to when they come into Mgtow. Let me stop here for a second. And let me go back to not the dashboard, to the thing, and say hello to everybody. It's an Aaron. Hello, Aaron. Hello, Pocket Rocket. Hello, hello. Not too many people in today, and I didn't think it would happen on it was going to happen on a Wednesday afternoon at 6:00. But I just wanted to come by and talk about Mgtow a little from a Mgtow perspective. And what was really bothering me was Voss Day, and Voss Day he called us zombies, and I was really offended. He said that MGTOWs are like that, but that's the kind of language that you see on the the far right now, and with these people, and they get used to their language, zombies, and now it's clown world, and then sooner or later here, clown world becomes so accepted that you'll see MGTOWs calling other MGTOWs clowns, and it's like, oh, you're part of clown world because you don't agree with me. Zombies has been around for at least about 8-9 years now, and we used to have the zombie metaphor, and then all of a sudden Mgtow started calling other Mgtows. Oh, he's part of that zombie class because he doesn't believe in what I believe in politically, and that's the danger of rhetorics when you start doing rhetorics, political rhetorics, and Aaron Ruben, I became Mgtow thanks to the educational system. Yeah, thanks to the educational system. Yeah, I had some thoughts about the educational system and how to kind of get around that system today, and how we would if I was having this internal conversation with myself, I was thinking about, I was having an internal conversation with myself earlier about the how things work up naturally to from the young kids, and then they're asking the question of how they're going to get educated without being indoctrinated now, and that's the problem, getting educated without being indoctrinated. And we went up by the community college around here, and we were talking about we were looking at the buildings and housing development, and we were looking at going into the community college, and then how your credits don't transfer to the major colleges. And I said, yeah, that's purposeful so they can run up your debt on you if you ever wanted to go to a major college, and plus you have to re-indoctrinate you from maybe the indoctrination you weren't going to get at your community college. Community college are a little better. You can get your associate degree in probably 2 years if you do it right. And there's always in my area, there was the Lorain College, and then there was Tri-C, that was Cleveland, Cuyahoga. It encompassed all of Cuyahoga. There's a lot of different shoots on that. And just getting to classes sometimes was a real pain in the ass if you wanted to. And then when you do transfer to a major college, we were talking about how they don't transfer and how they need to re-indoctrinate you and everything. And we started discussing what I assumed is the way I had to do it. I wasn't getting a loan to go to college. I'm a poor Irish boy that they want to exclude me from the group of people in this area. They need to cut back on who can go to college and who can't. So that was back when I was growing up. I'm just not the kind of person, or come from the kind of family, first generation Irish, that they were going to let go to college. And that way we in the Irish community used to have our own schools, Catholic schools, and Catholic colleges, and pretty much Irish Catholic colleges. We had to have our own schools because we had to educate ourselves. But those became because there is a lot of racism in this country. So I knew I wasn't going to get, and I did apply for some loans, and they said I was too poor to get loans because they said you probably never pay it back, and they were right. I was never going to pay it back, but that's why I wanted to go to college, because so I had to take courses like with my own money. I had to work and take courses and internet came around, which opened things up a lot for me. And and that's what we were talking about. If you can go to a college for 1 year in your Tri-C area, your community colleges, they're usually LCC or BCC or JCC, or sometimes like ours, it's CCC. And you go to one of those for 1 year and start off, and then start doing it online, and you're that kind of person that can practically continue. And then that'll cost you, you got to buy your books, you got to buy the course, you got to buy one at a time, but then you're your own counselor, and then you're not getting indoctrinated to all the garbage out there. Anyone against Mgtow is an asshole. Yes, I'm going to allow that comment. Yeah, Vox is an asshole. I've never seen a bigger asshole in my life, and he believes in some metaphysics. Obviously he was talking about zombie world, so he's into watching TV and getting married, but you have to get married. That's all you will have is that TV. So you might as well be one of those freaks that watch all those zombie movies and stuff. And so the guy is an asshole, and he's probably one of the biggest assholes on the internet. And I can't understand. They'll take off guys like Alex Jones, and then you got a wide variety of these truly, truly hostile people out there. Now, Vox said that in his words, right around 4:30. No, I think it's about 4:30. I'll check on that. It's 4:30 to 5:01 in this thing. He says MGTOWs are zombies, and he would like to smash our heads in. And that was a violent attack on me. What I presume is a threat of violent attack on Mgtow, but his low IQ followers are just they just eat that stuff up because they believe, like I talked about last time, they believe in lizard people, they believe in zombies, they believe Santa Claus and Jesus still exist. So and then comes the traditional marriage slavery option that you can have after you get your divorce. You can't get a divorce if you don't get married, and that's what Mgtow says: don't get married, and you'll never get a divorce, because obviously, if you don't ever get married, you'll never get a divorce. Short of that, sticking your in women might get you a child. So that's another thing to look at. That's a different off the field. We'd have to explain that somewhere down the line. But that's an additional way to grab additional slaves to this this society. Every time you have a community, the truth about slavery is no matter how you well mask it. Uh, all intellectuals will certainly agree that you need 20 to 30% of people to do the labor part of the work. So you have to manufacture those people. And then from there on up, you'll have the middle class and you'll have the elite that don't do work. And then how you get from the middle class to the elite and wherever you're going to be put in there, it's casteism, and they've had that pre-figured out already. Don't trust me, they do. And that will be based on your ethnicity, how long you've been in this country, whether they think you deserve it. And basically they want their children to go to Harvard and you not to go to Harvard. So they have to make sure that things go their way, but they're rich and powerful and you are not. So we can imagine how these things work. So what we're talking about, maybe we'll continue talking about it. We won't do much middle child and everything. I'll save that for another day. And I'd like to just continue talking about Vox Day and slavery. And it's an important subject today because it is Juneteenth, and it's a holiday for my brothers. It's a holiday for my Ibmore brothers, and this is the day we celebrate. This is the day the lower class, us Mudsill, they used to be the slaves in our ethnicities. They used to do the works: the Irish, the Chinese, the blacks. This is the day where we got independence, not that other day, not Independence Day, not the other days that they. And this is the ultimate day. Juneteenth is the ultimate day. I think it's Mgtow Day, because what happens when you become a Mgtow is you start thinking freedom in your head. And you start seeing the system for what it is. And the system is a system of slavery, because everybody's got, for us men at least, so there's 48% of men. And imagine this. And if you need 20 to 30% slaves that are going to do the work of physical manual labor in the society, because you do need 20 to 30% of people to do the manual labor, that's going to be men. So over half of us, unless we belong to that other class up there, unless you're born rich, which I don't imagine that I have too many very, very rich people that come over to my stream, or else my donations would be better. But I can imagine most of us are the 89% that make up the poor society. Now that starts breaking down the level when you start thinking about that 20 to 30% that has to be filled. That's over half the men already, considering disability, considering youth, considering too old. That's over half the men. I'm thinking that would come out right around 60 68% if I had to do the methodology on that 60 to 68% of men from the inception will be needed to be slaves. So how do they do that? They do that through marriage. They do that through social contracts. They do that through voluntary slavery. Who wants to fill these positions picking the vegetables? Some people will fill those positions. Some people think very lowly of themselves. Who wants to be the auto workers? Who wants to be the steel workers? I chose myself to be a steel worker because at a certain point, and after I was eliminated from going to college because I couldn't get the loans, and at that time, if it was even more difficult for a male. If I was a female and I was a transsexual lesbian, and I wrote that down like TFM, uh, I could get a loan just on my good word. I'd say I'll pay this back, but back then you couldn't get a loan. So as a son of a what they would call a middle class American at that point, but my father had 9 kids, so he couldn't send all 9 kids to college. That was an impossibility. Feminists say men are not entitled to, yeah, but I would say women in society at large are not entitled to men's labor. Right. That's what our argument is, because we know the facts on these things. When you look at 68% of men have to do physical labor because our bodies are dimorphically built to do physical labor, but that doesn't mean you want to do physical labor. I can lift 300. I used to be able to lift 300. I don't know if I could, probably not be able to lift 300 pounds anymore. I can lift 300 pounds, but I don't want to lift 300 pounds because it hurts. I don't want to do physical labor. Nobody really wants to do it. And if it was spread out more equally, that was always my argument. It should be. That's why when we get down to these arguments of who shall do the work in America, it should be spread out equally. More Maoism, that everybody has to work 8 years on a farm. You put your 8 years on the farm, and then you get to eat for a lifetime, and everything should be provided after that. But you have to spend your 8 years on a farm, and that's everybody. That's including our president, to all those congressmen, and now they're arguing. They're going, "Whoa, Joe, that's crazy communism." No, that's Maoism, and that's just being logical. If you want to eat in this society, you're going to have to be one of the slaves for a little bit, and you're going to have to learn how to you're gonna have to learn what it's like, and that way you'll know what it's like, because we got presidents and congressmen right now that have no idea what it's like to do a day's work. God, for God's sakes, George Bush had no idea what a gallon of milk cost. So that's why I'm a Maoist, and that everybody does 8 years, because everybody eats, and that's the only way you eat in this country. And I believe, Trump said that himself. If all these poor people want to eat, they got to work. And I say, wait, it's not just for the poor people. If anybody that wants to eat has to work at least 8 years. And so I'll agree with that. But we got the upper class, the George Bushes, the Donald Trumps, the extremely wealthy that have never worked a day in their life, and they say, "Oh well, I make money decisions." Geez, I wish I had the fucking luxury of making money decisions. They call them business decisions, but if I had that luxury to lose 500 million bucks, boy, wow, what a soft ass job that is. That's one of those jobs where I call it lighter than air work. Somehow people do women do lighter than air work too. They want to do they just want to be the boss, and they don't really want to be the person that picks up the case of 7-Up or Pepsi or motor oil and puts it on the skid on the dock. Nobody wants to be that person. But we delegate those to about 60% of the males. We build the cars, we build the buildings, we put the Pepsis into the truck. We put, that's male work, but that's never talked about. And how do they get that male work? Well, there's a social contract that promises you that, oh, you're going to go up, you're going to go to school, we're going to provide these things for you, you're going to get college, and oh boy, your life's going to be great, but you just got to work hard for that. And that's where the promises break down. Most people work 40 years in their life, look up and go, fuck, I'm still fucking broken, I'm living pillar to post. So a fair division of work is what we're talking about, and we're talking work. We're not talking someone sitting on their ass instructing other people like the women want. They want to be the bosses, but they can't. I want to see a fair system of labor, division of labor. And if you're not familiar what labor means, it means actually you better have a fucking labor skill, or you're going to be the person on the farm picking the goddamn. You're going to be picking the goddamn vegetables, and then I'll accept that as work too. But what we're talking about is what we were talking about. It's all about slavery in America. Every society and every intellectual that's going to be honest with you, if asked this question, and every one of you guys took a sociology course at some point, and you're told every society, if you're going to be a communal society like every society is now, there's no such thing as a non-communal society anymore. It's a myth. It's one of those Christian myths that we're also independent. No, everybody, how do you get your electric? How do you get your water? Did you do that? No, you're living a fucking community, bitch. That's stupid arguments. So in every communal society, and basically we're just human apes. So we live in a communal society, and there's going to be 20 to 30% slaves, and that's just the truth. And if that's offensive to somebody, it should be offensive to every Mgtow. Now, Mgtow is about how not to fall into that trap of being that 60% of men. That's what we're talking about. Well, one thing you can do is you can become freaking Mgtow. And then that puts you in a great position for life. And then you are talking to an ex-slave too. So, it's not like I don't know these things. I speak from experience, but that's what Vox always does. That's what these guys, there was a new video I watched today. What he's going to say is, okay, what I can see about Mgtow is you have these two groups. You have the young guys and you have the old guys. The old guys are from experience. The young guys, you need to learn. They're going to disregard the experience part, but they're going to and let us do our job in here. But they're going to go, now here, what I could do is show you how to get the right girl. Yeah, the right girl. Every guy that's ever got a divorce thought he had the right girl. Oh, you just made a mistake. I hear that all the time. Oh, well, Joe, you just made a mistake. Yeah, I made a mistake. I got married. Not I made a mistake in the woman. They're all the same. That's the part I didn't know. That's back then there was no Mgtows to explain that to me, and we were under this delusional system of that was a lot of traditionalism, that was just religiosism, that from the churches. And you just do this, you go to school, and then the next step is your life's going to be great if you go to high school, and your life's going to be greater if you go to college, and then if you get married, your life's going to be greater. And then if you do this, and you'll find out in life that there's always some next step. That's a Simpsons paradox. What they're giving you in what they are giving you for real results is hope. And that's what they do when they pit the old against the young and the young against the old. They're giving them false hope that there's some other thing out there that could be had, because these old guys are holding you up. Or the young guys, they're holding you up, and they're going to tell you guys over here, you old guys, you guys are, you've been through a lot. They're going to do that too to the older guys. Then they pit the females against the males. That's what we see in the gender dynamics argument. That's why I say Mgtow is never about feminism. Mgtow is never about women. It's about us. It's about men, and that's the only thing it can be about is us, you personally, and all these men doing man things. And then if we even say the F word, then we're wrong, because that they're getting the same results. And it's, if you want to look it up, it's Willie Lynch's letter and How to Make a Slave. But like I explained, 60% of you have already been designated to fill that spot. And I wasn't born rich. I didn't have 500 million. I just have a stack of these. Somehow the patriarchy theory says I got a swimming pool out back, and it's just filled with like money and virgin blood. I just go dive in it, and I just grab the money, and then I come out, and it's like ha, ha, ha. And every day I open my mailbox, and there's just a big wad of more money in there, and I just throw it in my pool of embryonic fluid. It's just a pool of embryonic fluid that I swim in every day with money in it. Yeah, right. I've got all those great options in life, but I still have not yet got one check in the mail, and I want to talk to the patriarchy about that because my checks are way the fuck backed up. And there are no unicorns, and you can't get married. And if someone's explaining to you just because you're a young guy, and listen to them because there's a unicorn out there for you, bullshit. And that's what Vox is trying to say. That's what his that's people that will agree with him. Any of those people that come over from that specific group of what I will call skeptics, they want to try to convince Mgtow that somehow there's that unicorn out there, and there ain't no unicorn out there. Man, my mouth is dry. I was out in the sun for a little bit, and I wanted to drink about a gallon of water when I came in, and but I didn't get a chance to. So sorry, I'll drink while I'm talking. I know that's so irritating. At least I don't eat. I never eat while we're talking. You ever watch one of those videos of the guy is eating while he's talking, like Captain Crunch or something? You're like, fucking guy, just put down that bowl of Captain Crunch and talk. So who do we got in here? We got my friend Prune Juice Power Rockets, Pocket Rockets. I love Pocket Rockets. I love the creative names that the men come up for themselves, and I always love the idea that avatars should kind of express who you are in this world and kind of express what you think about this world and everything. And we pick our individual avatars to match our unique personalities. And so we have met Riff, my buddy Riff Mangos. How you doing today, Riff? How's everything going for you? And I was playing the guitar yesterday. I was doing a good job too. I was surprised that sometimes I go like a month or a month and a half without picking up the guitar. And my guitar is so fucked up. I got to buy a new guitar. It's so intonant. If you don't know what tonant is, my neck it loses the tone as it goes down the neck, and I still have not figured out how to make that thing back being in tone, keeping tones down the neck. So that means when you start at, I'll tune it for the top, and we'll get the C chords, the G chords, the D chords, and everything. And then as you go down, the chords will start sounding a little funny to your ear, and you're like, "Well, it's tuned at the top, but it's not tuned at the bottom." And it's just funny. It's an ovation, and it's about the third ovation I've owned in my lifetime, and I always notice that ovations go intonant, and there's nothing you can do it. I had one that was pretty good. It was the original Celebrity. That the green one that had the green apple wood, and that kept its form pretty good. But most ovations will go tone it at a certain point, and whether you buy the Legend or you buy the Celebrity, you're still going to end up after it's been about 15 years. I bought that one ago, so you're gonna end up buying a new one. And I wish I could find a guitar. At this point in my life, I don't think I'm going to make it to like 70. So any guitar I buy at this point in my life, that I will have the rest of my life, and before it goes intonant. So, but I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I have to get I don't want to buy a cheap one, and I'd like to get another Legend, but that's going to cost me a little bit, and I might have to take a loan for that this year. Oh, I quit that. I used to have thirst that could never be quenched. Yeah. Unicorns and Bigfoots, keep looking. Yeah, that's what I always say. We have one of the things in Mgtow is we don't believe in those metaphysics. And I was just arguing with a guy today about he was one of those Christians, and he wanted to do the Christian argument. Why Mgtow is Christianity and the philosophy of Christianity. And I said religion's not a philosophy. Unless you're following Thomas Aquinas, it's not a philosophy. You have overlays in ethics and morality and treaties and overlays and stuff like that. But otherwise, it's believing in a metaphysical made up thing. And if you want to be a philosopher, you can't believe in something that's made up. So and it's dogma, and it's so much dogma. Today's Christianity is so much dogma. I don't think that the Saint Thomas of Aquinas sort of way to look at that Christianity was dogma, and he gives a good argument to the later philosophers after that. And Hobbes does the argument, and Locke does the argument, and they all do the argument, and we just figure out that my favorite is Camus. I'll just make myself God. That's the Rusha. I'm just to make myself God because he ain't showed up yet, and he left us out here to wander around, and he knows there's really evil things happening. So why? Come on, you just leave us out here to wander around, and you know that there's evil things happening. So there has to be a new God, and I elected myself because I'm the best person for this job. Yeah, yeah. If you play that Christian game, that's how your life will play out. You're going to get nailed to a cross, and you're going to become the slave. You're going to become all them bad things that you don't want to become, and then somehow in that, you become you're better than the rest of the guys because you took more. I could take so many punches in my face. Just man, my jaw is so strong, but I don't want to be punched in the face. You know? That's what Christianity is. How many slugs to the face can you take? That makes you a better man. And some guy like us, Mgtow, we go, what if I don't want to be punched in the face? What if I don't want to be the slave? What if I don't want to do that stuff for you guys? What if I don't want to be the meat machine for your packing, for your capitalist packaging areas? What if I don't want to do that? What's the other option? I'll go, well, we'll give you a fake. You just got to work harder. That's Simpson's paradox in a nutshell. There's some hope. Rich people have desire for they say there's not enough. There's not enough. Poor people get hope, and that's what you have. You have hope, and and man, they can have all the hope they want in this world, but this world's pretty definite, and it's chaos and it's absurdity, and it never works out, and at the end you die, and that's it. So in between those things, you have a definite finite life period. Try to make it somewhat tolerable, and suffering the whole time is just that's not for me. I'm not the suffering type. I'm going through the knee problem right now, and I'm just not the suffering type. And I'm not a hedonist. I don't do all that hedonism stuff. I don't. You know, it's been what, about 2 months since I had a beer. Or I mean, I don't do the girls. I don't do the alcohol. I don't do the arguments. I don't do the fighting, and I don't do the religion. They can find other suckers to do all of those things. There's enough in the world there's enough of those kind of people in the world that Mgtow gets to sit and point and laugh. Just point and laugh. Look, another one. The drug problem lately has been the drug. Everybody thinks it's okay to smoke massive amounts of pot now because it's so easily obtainable. I know how that works out. I grew up with the hippie generation, and I watched at least 4 or 5 people that I know ended up in mental hospitals, or doing stupid things, or falling off of things at work, and yeah, don't smoke massive amounts of pot. That's another way that they're going to get you. Now, when you think about what's happening now with the marijuana, is like, okay, you smoke that pot, now you got to go get a job, and then at some point you want a better job, but they want a blood test, and then you get they notice that you're smoking pot, and they say, well, that's not okay, and they'll say, well, it's legal in the state to smoke pot if I have a medical problem, and then they go, oh, well, you got a medical problem. So you're never going to achieve in the job. it's self-defeatism, and they'll go, well, you can be one of the workers. So by smoking pot and giving everybody the option to smoke pot, they're letting people choose who's going to be the 60% of slaves. And then you can go do that, or you can sit around on a couch and not do nothing anymore, and just smoke pot. But pot is expensive, and you'll need some kind of job to do that. So you can work at the McDonald's or something. Well, you're back into the who's going to move the food around thing. Who's going to feed the people that don't want to move the cases? The rich people want to go to McDonald's. They want to get a McDonald's burger, but they don't ever want to do that job. That's below them. It's like them for the mudsill, the creepy, like, the brown people and the Irish people and the Polacks and the that's what them people, all those people, them are the people. That's how they look at that. So a lot of racism in America, and casteism. Casteism is another name for racism. They got that problem, but they got automatic caste in Pakistan and India. You just get cast. That must be nice, You're like, oh, you come from a pretty intelligent family that done well, so you're going to get the deal of a lifetime. Wow, I want that. I want that deal. But we see that in America all too often now. But my idea is always Maoism. You're going to work 8 years on a farm, whether you like it or not, and you don't have to like it. Nobody likes it. None of the people that are going to do it like it. We can make it easier. And if everybody did it, everybody would have to spend less time, and it would be easier on everybody. And that's the way I figure it. But that's another argument for another day. Hello, Mr. Howell. I like that one too, Mr. Howell. Yeah. So hello, everybody that's joined Aaron and Prune and Mr. Hetty Lukey. Is that Hetty Lukey? Oh, Hetty Lukey's up above him. Hello, Hetty. Hello, RP. I didn't see it come in. You kind of slipped in there without me seeing you, RP. Hello, RP. Hello, everybody. Hello, Thomas Atkins and Aaron and Lamprey Mills. I love that. You got the little things, the Playboy bunny things. There was an interesting article about the Playboy bunny thing, but I forgot how that works into Mgtow. Because all roads lead to Mgtow. Everything in the whole world leads to Mgtow. Hello, Mr. Miss. How would you pronounce that? Mr. Will RRR. I love that. I used to try to get the license plate that the letters would say something back in the day before the internet. And then you try to fool them and you get B cock or something. but they got onto us after a while, and we couldn't get those license plates. They eliminated somewhere in the late 80s, they eliminated offensive license plates because you used to be able to do that. Everybody's looking for the DK and a COCK or the COK, something, and you put it up there, and you try to. I see my he was an accountant at work, and for months I would just walk up. He got one of those special license plates, and it was a long line of letters on there, and I couldn't figure out for the longest time what it meant. And then one day I just walked out, and then someone said, that means blah, blah. And I see now. And then I said it to him, and he's like, oh, you're not supposed to know that. And yeah, that's what Avatar's letters are supposed to be. Does this work? That works. So we were supposed to talk about middle children, but I would hold that back because I just got so annoyed with the people that come around Mgtow, and they make the videos, and the Vox Day, I think his name is, which he is a crazy fuck. He is really a crazy, crazy person. He's got no good sense. He doesn't use logic, and maybe that's his spiel. And he says that, well, basically what made me mad, I don't care what everybody says, but he considers Mgtow's zombies worth disposing of. And how they're going to dispose of us, I don't know. But you can see how the Blue Pill Nation is starting to up the game a little bit. They see us as such a threat that we're going to become that. They want us to be the disposable males, because really, when you think about it, they always wanted you to be the disposable male. And they'll dispose of you any way they can. So be cautious. And man, but that's gives me. It's like the thing with my wife. She gave me the best information in life. She said, "This is my body and it's my choice, and I'll do anything I want with it." And it was like, bam. This is my body and it's my choice, and I'll do anything I want with it. And that includes getting rid of you and whatever. I'm no longer your slave. And that's where my philosophy comes up. Oh, you do your thing. Yeah. You do your thing over there, girls. It's your body, your choice. But remember, this is my body and my choice, and I'm not a slave, and nobody gets a fucking slave in this world. So the blue pill men, the retards, or the religious, the overly religious, they want you, the overly indoctrinated to politics and that sort of stuff. They know the deal. They don't want to be the 60% of males that are cast for work. They want to be the 40% of males that are on cast, that just somehow they get just showered at the patriarchy thing, that you got a pool full of money. They want to be that people. And I can understand that, because that's the guy I want to be too. But with those guys, it's always a matter of how they can knock off the other guy through what I would call bad will, or by bad terms and stuff like that. I have a way. I like to okay. You think I'm a disposable male, huh? Come see me. If I ever see him in life, I will put this in his head. And we have a big lake for people out there. They just float to the bottom and they're never seen again. And that's just the truth. Any male that thinks that you're his slave, you will see about that. Yeah, we'll see about anybody that thinks you're his slave. We'll see about that. We'll see about what happens to you, because that gives me every society ever. The people that thought that the other people were slaves, they always ended up like dead, going out. Like from Egypt to America, we had a civil war everywhere. Them people always ended up, after the slaves rise up. The slaves rise up, and that's what I think we're beginning to see, is a movement of males where we're just saying, hey, I'm not the slave no more. And if you think I am, that's just permission to relieve myself of all that morality and that social contract that you said I was going to be doing okay in this world. You lied to me, basically. And you said this was going to be you lied. And you think I'm your slave? Okay, we'll see how that works out for you. And that relieves you of all moral responsibility. That's the rebel. The rebel Zoroaster is about that point in your mind where you go, okay, I'm not the slave. And anybody that wants to put me in that position, well, all bets are off. Anything that happens to him. And that's more of a Mgtow attitude. That's the way Mgtows should take it. I see these Mgtows going, I don't believe in that, and I don't believe in that. We got to get along with everybody and all that and shit and everything. No, the determining factor in your Mgtowness is if that guy over there thinks you're the slave, he becomes the fucking enemy. And this isn't this isn't a program of all men. It's like Alex Brown was trying to say that somehow we're meninist and we got to support all men, because no, there's 40% of men out there that want to see you as the slave. So start defending yourself. Yeah, MGTOW gives you a notice, slave drivers. I like that. They're on notice. Uh, if they think that about you, you Prune Juice, if they think that about my friend Rocket Power, my friend Prune Juice, and Adam, Thomas Atkins, and Will and Aaron and Hetty and everything, man, I'll be there for you. If somebody says that I'm gonna make him my slave, I'm gonna say, hey, let's go talk out back. I got something for you. And then we got a big lake out there to put them in, because that's when all bets are off in this society. All bets are off when somebody wants to make you a slave. And we've proven that over and over and over. And basically every society that's ever tried to exist on this planet is the slaves say, no, no more. Everybody's got to do, and that's what the Maoism is. Everybody's got to do their 8 years on the farm. We're going to split this shit up. But in America, we have the entitled rich that don't want to do their part anymore, and they just want to manage the money. And then we got an entitled other class, and we got an entitled female class that don't want to do their part any, and they assume that the 60% of men are just going to be slaves. And we're going, no, that's not a good idea. No, it's not. Trying to put us in that position, we're going to fight back, and that's what Mgtow is. Us fighting back. We're requesting an audience with the lords right now, but sooner or later, as in set in our Constitution, where we can redress these problems, that's what it says. We're supposed to be able to redress these problems. If you don't redress these problems, well, happens like it always happens. We're men. We do things real manly at certain point. And that's when I forget about all structure and all society, and I forget about all those moralities and ethics, and everything's out the door until one thing gets fixed here, until they stop looking at us like slaves. And that's what it's about. And if they ask us why we're upset, if they ask Mgtow why he's upset about this thing, well, wouldn't you be upset if I told you had to pick cotton for the rest of your life? If you were going to be one of those guys sitting at the edge of at the bottom of the line, throwing the cases onto the skid, you're going to do that for the rest of your life. And then I told you that after you throw 1,000,005 cases and you broke your back, that I wasn't going to give you health care. We got some shit to talk about. Oh yeah, my pool in the money. I got to go take a dip because I got excited there. I got to go take a dip in my money pool. It's like, it's filled with placenta. I had it filled with placenta. It's just like a pure placenta. It feels really good on the skin. And I just dive in and I grab money. I'm like Scrooge McDuck, the patriarchy. It's like, do a backstroke in my pool of placenta, pure placenta. That's what they think. That's what they think. Honest to God. That's so sick. You know what's funny about these things is they'll go, oh, Trav, you were so rough on that. You were so rough. Somebody has to explain this to them. There's a segment of our society that guys like me, somebody has to explain that to them, to explain it to them why they don't get a slave. That should be common knowledge. We were talking about that today, me and my friend, about there's certain things in this life. There's certain things in this life that's just common knowledge. All the philosophers talked about it, like inherent. They called it different things, and I don't want to go into the names on what they called it. There are inherent truths about this world. There are certain things like the sky is blue, and women are women and men are men. We have bugs, stuff like that. Some of the truths are that you can see and visualize are more things that are of the metaphysical type, like there's right and there's wrong. When you live in a society, just doing anything you want, to anybody is wrong. You have to have some kind of etiquette about this, and we don't do those things. Uh, that's what the slavery issue is. We have a portion of our society that doesn't know that etiquette, that's wrong. It's evaded them. People like me have to actually tell them that now. We've had every philosopher, and I think from the first philosopher, the Christian one, Jesus Christ, he says, no, we're not the slaves. And from Moses said, no, we're not the slaves. And we have to keep repeating this to them. I don't know what that section of the brain that controls that is. I wish I could figure that out, and then we can just put a little electrode in these people's brains, turn that section on. They'll go, oh, wait, I was wrong. You guys aren't the slaves. We're all supposed to be like in this thing, and just kind of, if we all pick up so many bricks, and we all build so many houses, and we all do our part. And said that needs to be explained to people. And we don't get no brown slaves, and we don't get no we don't get no brown slaves, and then we don't get no male slaves. And that's the argument nowadays. On this day, Juneteenth, it's Juneteenth, and you think about that. I live in it. When I think about it, when I ride my bike past that field up there where they have this big sign, and it says on this day, Juneteenth, and here's where it happened. And then I look at the farm, and I look at the slave houses, and we were looking at the slave houses today, and I was looking at this is where the people came up to, and they tried to get on that boat so they can get to Canada because they didn't want to be a slave. And that's what Mgtow talks about. So Juneteenth is actually Mgtow Day. I hate the idea that Mgtow Day is on Valentine's Day, because then it's filtered through the female. Being a male is filtered through a female. Our argument gets filtered through the female then. And that's what I hate about that idea of it being, we shouldn't have to filter it through. In no place and at no time in Mgtow is any of this, what we talk about, has anything to do with a female. And that's simply, we say it in so many ways. We say it, we don't get our validation from it. We don't do this. We don't do, but we have to continuously talk about that with people. It's like, you're talking about Mgtow, and you're going, this is the Mgtow issues, slavery and the male back, and what we have to go through, and the work gap. And there's so many gaps to, the slavery gap, the divorce gap. There's so many gaps in there, and there's a Simpson paradox playing out in your head where the stats invert. Like we're the class that has the patriarchy, that somehow that we're the class that gets the slavery. But you have to explain that to people, and the voluntary ones, them are the Uncle Toms. There's a book about that, about Uncle Tom. You can go. It's Beecher Stowe, Harriet Beecher Stowe. She wrote a book about that, about Uncle Tom's, and trying to get to this place here, where you were free again, up in the high by Lake Erie, and it's Juneteenth, and I think this is Mgtow Day. Because that's what they want out of you, and it becomes very obvious what our masters want out of us after you've been married or divorced, and you start seeing the actual privilege, and you start seeing Simpson's paradox in the privilege. Well, the females are so privileged that we have to give our suffrage to them because they're washing dishes once in a while so hard. Gotta hate that argument, that argument about, I have to do laundry, I have to take care of the kids. Man, I would love to take care of the kids, stay home, do laundry, and watch fucking Oprah all day. I wouldn't watch Oprah. I'd watch the baseball games or something. Like some badass men movies. I've been looking at the movies today. Like, they are highly pathetic. I wanted to do that with somebody someday. Somebody come in, and today's movie day, and we're going to take a look at, you can get all the movies. everything that's out new on one of those pub films or something like that, or one of those sites that you can get free films from, and you get all the lineup. And then I was looking at them today, and I was like, there's so much gynocentrism implanted in those things, and even Shaft. I watched Shaft last night. I stole Shaft, and I was like, please don't screw up Shaft. And then they brought out this. Then they had the old Shaft, the first guy, and then they had the second Shaft. And now they got the third Shaft, and he's a millennial, and he's kind of like into like dance fighting. It's just got. I was like, they gynocentrized Shaft, and they did. They gynocentrized it a lot. It's like every word out of the second Shaft's mouth, and Shaft never talked that way. Was man, I'm gonna get some pee and I'm gonna hit that. That's like, and that's why it's some college frat boy shit. It's just college frat boy shit. On summer they just talk about all the girls they're gonna get and what they're gonna do to it. It's like, you guys are ridiculous. But I know that's appealing to the young man to talk about that, is how he's gonna get that, and that's gonna change his life, because that ain't gonna change your life. And you can buy that, by the way. Really, it's pretty affordable nowadays. Uh, so hello, boy named Gilroy. I'm dreading what you are going to do to James Bond. I'm dreading what they're gonna. Yeah, they're gonna have a James Bond, and he's gonna be like a millennial Bond. Can you imagine what like a millennial Bond or a Zer Bond or an Xer Bond's gonna look like? He'll be like, oh God, he'll know Krav Maga. I know dance fighting, and the monkey. He's like, and he'll have a real little gun, and he doesn't like to use his gun. He likes to just use his Krav Maga. It's like, son of a bitch, because he does yoga. Oh, and they'll make it so he respects all the girls, and he has a profound respect to feminism. Jesus Christ. Yeah, they're going to screw up James Bond sooner or later. My name is Debt, college debt. Yeah. Yeah, college debt is the biggest. I was looking. We were looking at the housing cost, and they came out with the statistics. China's giving statistics now. If you didn't notice, um, China never gave out statistics before, or they gave out. Or they gave out padded stats, but they're giving out actual statistics now that are measurable statistics now. And do you know, like 80% of the people in China own their own home? 76% of millennials own their own home. You know why they own their home? Because they don't have college debt. Yeah, yeah. They have such a vast amount of homes. They just build homes. That's all they do in China, is they build homes. And then I don't know how stupid of a person you have to be in China not to own a home in China. And they really own their home. There's no someone coming back to them and saying, well, you got to pay us rent in the form of taxes. And so they're beating the hell out of us. And nowadays, I think it was like 20% of millennials own their own homes in America. And we're supposed to be the richest country in the world. No, we have the biggest feudal homeowner project. The rich get the money, and then they try to figure out how to get you back into the system, and that's how they can tax you. But then they violate those things. You're supposed to be in America. You're supposed to be able to tax that we talk about with home ownership, and you're supposed to be able to tax commerce. Commerce is business. The American tax system is only supposed to tax commerce. They're not supposed to tax your shirt. They're not supposed to tax you for just living. You can tax your commerce. And then once you own your home, you shouldn't be taxed on it no more. But they figured out greedy little ways to tax you on that. And then the home ownership becomes back into the rich, which they have a deal with the government. And then it just becomes a reciprocal sawmill where they're just spitting people out, and then they're giving you these high interest loans for basically homes that, like, this is this here is just basically your basic $70,000 home, and that's overvalued. That actual to build this thing, it would probably cost about $15,000 plus, you call it labor and whatever you want to do with it. But yeah, it shouldn't be that much. But China, they just build the homes at cost, and then they have a surplus of, like, it's some ungodly surplus of like 50%. They have whole cities built that don't even have people in them. Yeah, and then we got a certain percentage of that are homeless. They don't even have a home to go to, and they can't even rent. They can't even afford rent. And we've talked. That's what we talk about a lot. Is the men that end up homeless are usually the men that get divorced, and then they start seeing the country, or they can't afford. If you're paying 70, if you're paying 50% tax and you're paying 30% of your pay to your wife, and you're trying to live on 20%, you don't have a home. You might as well live in your car. And that's what I did for a while. I mean, you're going to live in your freaking car unless you get a second job. But that's the slavery thing. It's like, oh, you can get a second job now, slave. You can get a second job. And then when you turn my age and you have knee problems and you have back problems and you have two rotator cuffs from lifting all that heavy metal and shit, uh, they don't want to give you health care. That's your reward, man. Total suffrage. You get to suffer for Jesus. Son of a bitch. Makes me a better Christian, doesn't it? I can suffer. No, no, don't buy into that shit. Yeah, China is the future. I think we've passed that mark right now with predatory capitalism. That the predatory capitalism mark with Plato, when Plato was talking about capitalism, and I'm going to get a camera and fix that problem. I got a new camera ordered. It's the Logitech 960 or something like that, and it's supposed to work better. But I hear that every time I buy a camera that it's going to work better. This is the 565 Logitech. And it's supposed to cure everything back when I bought it, but it didn't. So that I'm going to cure that problem. I can't remember what I was talking about now. It flashed. It was irritating. What is it? China? Yeah, China is they got it all going down. They got more capitalism than we got. We've passed the mark on predatory capitalism, and that's what we see, and that's what Marx was saying. Anybody that hates Marx, you just read what he said. He was not telling you how a political system should be run. He was prognosticating into the future on what he had seen from the past and how this thing was going to work out if it kept working in that direction. He was just a prognosticator, and it just so happened that he was right on the money. He told him, "Hey, we're going to get these guys and this guys. We're going to have." We could see it with our political system. First, we had Ronald Reagan, we're living in a post Ronald Reagan world here. And then we had, who else was that? Who was after Ronald Reagan? We had George Bush Jr. And then we had Bill Clinton, and it modulated from that side to Bill Clinton. And then we had George Bush Jr. And then from there we had Barack Obama. So you can see it modulating back and forth. Now what we'll probably get is total socialism. We're going to get Bernie Sanders or something like that. And that's to combat the stupid predatory capitalism from the other stupid end of these conservatives that just are the guys that are promising that you and I, that we're going to be rich someday. You can be a millionaire. No, you can't. Let me tell you, I tried to get in that club. Tried hard for a lot of years, and they wouldn't let me in. And when I did have enough, they threw a divorce at me, and then they stole all my money from the bank crashes. They stole all my money and what I save, and they go, "No, you're never going to be that guy." And then they took all that money and they gave it back to the rich. And yes, I was one of those guys that were in Enron too. I was an oil worker at that time, and they just decided, well, I looked up one day and all my savings were gone, and they had good reasons for that. They said. So I've seen three of these things. I've seen a mini peak, and I've seen the George Bush thing, and then I've seen Enron, and then the George Bush Jr. thing, and then the I had my accounts had to go through the regular thing, and they will take your money. I would say invest in gold, put it in a nice safe spot, save your money, and learn how to invest it yourself in things in the neighborhood. Uh, that's what I had to learn later in life after they stole it like three times. Uh, because I'm a poor Irish boy. Uh, and it will come around again and they will steal it again. So if you're thinking, you go, oh, well, just invest and get a 401, no, they're going to take your money sooner or later. They always do it because they're rich and they're entitled. They deserve that. Stupid Americans. And that's what got us in trouble with China, too. So China, they're the future. I wish I was born Chinese, but there's like 2 billion of them. I don't want to be around a society with 2 billion people. It's just sooner or later they're going to have to fight somebody to prune their herd, and that will be Pakistan or India probably, or Japan probably. America at that point say, no, I'm just going to stay out of this one. You guys just fight it out. Well, we just fight it out. We're going to stay out of this one this time. But that's what's going on right now with Iran. It's like, Jesus, the rich want to be richer and they want to sell oil. Which woman should you trust? None of them. Don't get married. Don't buy into the system. Uh, trust a friend if you have one. I don't care if you have friends, but as for the system, stay out of the systems. That's what we're saying in Mgtow. We're not saying stay away from the girls. I don't want to talk about my life. I don't want to talk about what I do with that. I'm a monk, and I have a certain etiquette where I don't sit around and I don't talk to the boys like college fresh shit. That's what being a monk's about. It's like, I don't care what people do with women. I don't care if they have friends. I don't care about any of that shit. It's not relevant to me. And but what I refuse to do is sit and talk about it. That's what being a monk is. That's when you refuse to make their issues your issues. It's refused when you just refuse everything about that whole thing. We're going to talk about men. Let's talk about men. Let's talk about slaves. You're making us slaves. Well, how do you feel about that? That's what, and they'll go, oh, you're one of those misogynists. Yeah, you're probably into patriarchy. I've never known a moment in my life where my whiteness has gotten me anywhere in this world, or my maleness has gotten me anywhere. And I didn't check my mailbox today. There's a possibility that the patriarchy finally sent that check that they're backed up 40 years in. That's a lot of interest they owe me, this patriarchy people. I got to get a hold of that address and put in a claim with them. I think I forgot to put in my claim. It's like, dudes, and they'll go, oh, yeah, Joe, we forgot about you. Here's your swimming pool with a placenta and cash. I like that idea, swimming pool full of placenta. My whiteness gets me sunburned. Yeah, that's all my whiteness does too. I'm an Irish guy. I have to regulate my sunlight to about 15-minute periods. That vitamin D ain't coming in big doses for us guys, for us Irish guys. There is no sun in Ireland. We get occasional rays of about 15 minutes, and it's sunny there sometimes. I know that's pushing it, but our skin is just not for that. And I've learned that as a child. I thought I was like, as a child, we were born Catholic, so I thought I was condemned by God because of this white skin. that I could not go out in the sun and play with the kids. Like, you want to go play football today? It's a sunny day. I'd look up and go, nah, I'm not going to go do that today. Maybe on a cloudy day, I like to play some football, but on a sunny day, I know them burns hurt. I got a little today, and it's like I can feel it on my skin. Your whiteness is not something to screw around with. So yeah, so I felt like I was by the gods had they somehow just hated me or something. That's what I always felt about that. And I was like, I can't understand what they're talking about. I'm so privileged. I can't even go out in the sun. Son of a bitch. Don't think so, Trav. No money for the slave. No money for the slave. They're not going to send me that check, Heidi. Damn, I was hoping on getting that check. Man, I wanted to buy like a new swimming pool this year. Get rid of my old swimming pool and add on like a section. It would be like it would be just be a swimming pool with like fountains of ginger ale, and then I could bathe in fountain. Ginger ale would come down in my mouth. I just bathe in like pure spring water with a fruity scent to it. Jesus. In my mansion. Yeah, that's funny when we start talking about patriarchy. So when were those checks sent? That's what I ask. Someone steal my? Did one of those other son of a bitch in mail steal my check? Because that's the way I think it is. The 40% that don't have to work for a living. That's what I was talking about early on Juneteenth. Today is Juneteenth. And kind of flows into the middle child. We're just the middle children. We're unimportant. I don't know. We'll talk about that some other day. I went off on a tangent that's what I do. I make these videos, and I'll write down the relevant information to the topic, and then later on when I come and do it, I'll listen to a video about an hour before I do it, and that'll get me enraged, and I'll be like, I forget everything about what I wanted to talk about. Jesus, I'm so easily distracted from my from what I want to do in life. I just, oh man, I can't believe that jackass said that. If anybody wonder who the jackass is, it's Vox Day. He made a video about Mgtow and how we were zombies. It's like, yeah, you think and what he's talking about is we're the slaves. Somehow we're the slaves. That we're not accepting. He's mad because he's like Willie Lynch. He's mad because we're not accepting our slave duties. Our slave duties. That's what Christians say too. The Christians are like, you're not going to accept your slave duties, Joe. You're an ass. We hate you. We want to kill you. That's what they tell you. But we're not supposed to react to that negatively. We're not supposed to have some negative emotions to that. Where it's like, you want to hurt me bad. And for the rest of my life, you want me to suffer. And then you want to not give me health care when I'm old. That's totally fine, dude. Wow, you guys are great. Son of a bitch. Son of a. Is that really what they're saying to us? That's not Mgtow. You know what Mgtow is? Mgtow's the hammer is coming. And we're sick of arguing about these things. He does look and sound beta too, doesn't he? I mean, with my knee the way it is, and it's like I was looking at him and thinking, maybe I'm not bad to move too fast, but I hit that dude once and he's going down. What a sissy. What a beta. What a beta. I was watching the incels. I was doing incel watching this week. That's probably where I ran onto this guy. I was doing incel watching this week. Incel watching is really cool. Jamie and those guys and the Eli's and all the married guys that are over there trying to incite them to get like married. Charles and Joe Buddy is like, marriage is great, man. Yeah, right. Sure it is. But they're the slaves. They want you to be the slaves. But the incels, watching the incels is great. It's like you just laugh and say stupid things at them because they don't understand what you're saying. When a MGTOW is talking to an incel, it sounds, you know what it sounds like to them? They're going wop, 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 wop. That's what it sounds like to them. Or it goes in one ear and out the other because they ain't listening. They're like, unless you say you can get a female, and they'll go, what? Oh, I heard that. You say the split V, and they'll hear that. Or if a girl was talking, they would listen to her intently on everything she was going to say. Like, God, he'd be like, you're so fascinating. And that's gynocentrism in a nutshell. It's like incels. They're so, man. But there was this one curious behavior I was looking at. I noticed this with females in the real world. There was when the lady ran me over on the bike, and then I went up on her, and she had ran the stop sign, and I had no stop sign on my bike. And then she ran into me, and then she got out of her car and started yelling at me. And then I yelled back at her, and she said, but you don't have to be so mean about this. And I was like, son of a bitch, I don't have to be so mean about you almost killing me. But there's some perceived notion, and that there's some perceived notion that there's nothing, she did nothing wrong by running me over. And then I seen that thing today again. This woman did this. She pulled up. We were coming in and trying to get in my car, and I need space to open my door. She pulls up so close to the car that I couldn't get in the car. So the guy had to back the car out, and I had to walk. He backed the car out. Then I got in because there's no way to open the door. And she got out, and she just said something really stupid, like, somehow I know I did something wrong, but it's not my fault. And all women do that. I got to title this, I got to log it, and then it's just some silly behavior that they do that somehow, like, they're not responsible. And I know what it is. It's lack of agency. They're not responsible for anything they've ever done in their lifetime or anything they're going to do. And they can get away with anything. They get the P pass. So it comes out when us MGTOWs are walking around out there, and we have to deal with people with no agency that aren't responsible for anything they do. And it's always something else's fault. And it was just, there's some weird kind of garbage that goes on in their heads. And thank God there's not like a white knight around the hammer down the point that she did nothing wrong by running me over with her car. That's when I bought my camera on my bike because I was so sick of people doing stupid things. And it's like, Jesus, I wish I could ride my bike today, but my knee's all screwed up. I think I'm going to try real soon here. And I was looking at like one of those bikes inside. I was going to buy one of those first and then get myself back up to be able to do that again. And my legs are probably going to be like like spaghetti noodles. I know that. And I'll have to retrain again to get used to it. But YouTube is banning everyone nowadays. Yeah, YouTube has been. Thanks, Trev. This has been another Mgtow live stream. They would have banned me. Yeah, I'll get banned. We're all going to get banned sooner or later. And then they'll remove the logic that I said for like the last 10 years and then just pretend like it never happened. And that's their way of winning now, censorship. And we have to talk about that. And but I can really see that YouTube, this last thing was so much like what Alyssa Myers did over at YouTube or at Yahoo that I could just see it's so much like Yahoo. They did steps and they made wrong moves that whole time. And it was like so much like that. I was just, oh man, YouTube's got about 2 more years. So Yahoo's over there now, and all Yahoo has to do is put a video editor in your page, and then it is YouTube. And then Yahoo could have millions of people buying ads from them. Billions of people buy if they would just put a video editor. They don't understand that yet. It's like, just put a video editor and let us do our own videos and talk about, like, here's Joe, here's what he wants to say on his channel. And it's like, that's not a complex idea. But that's what she should have did back 10 years ago before she ruined Yahoo. But she had some strange ideas about SMS phone signals and shit, and how they were going to make just that was going to be the new thing. BitChute, yeah. It's like, which one to buy into now? I don't know. I think Yahoo is going to pull it out. I think Yahoo at the last minute is going to look up and go, Joe was right. I don't see them saying Joe was right, but I do see them at some point here when their stock goes low enough, they'll go, we got to add a video editor and just let the guys do what they want on their videos and make videos. And that'll cost X amount in xenobytes of space. But I don't know, how much is a xenobyte of space, and how many videos would that hold? Does anybody know? SFM would know this. A xenobyte of space. How much is that? I'll have to look it up. If anybody wants to know, I will look it up. But I don't really care that much. How many xenobytes would it take to make a YouTube? Anybody know offhand? That would be the question. I don't know how much that stuff costs. I'm sure they don't do it like your computer. Like, you have a little thing, it's like this big. Oh, no, they don't do it that way. I'm sure of it. Bytes identify as Xenos, digital diversity. Is that what they call it? Exobytes or xenobytes? What's the next thing up from gigabytes and megabytes, and you got all these bytes, and the next one up, it's the big one. Hey, it's reality. You have as long as you have money to protect them. Yeah, money's important in this world. They stole all mine. They did. I was a proud member of Mobile Oil 401k. That they petabytes is after terabytes. Yeah. I know they have, somebody was talking about like a xenobyte card or something that they purchased for YouTube or something. I don't know what it is, but we have to look at a petabyte. And that's a lot of bytes. That's the next one up. Be cool to have one on my computer. I'd never have to worry about space again. But I'm drifting now, and we talked about male slavery today, and that's the important thing on Juneteenth. Male slavery. Avoid male slavery. And if someone says they think that you're their slave, or even if they breach that thing like Vox did, like somehow you're less and you're not the important male because you're a Mgtow. If somehow your ideology about not feeding into the slavery system bothers them, you gotta, Mgtow's got to start getting a lot rougher with these guys, because they threaten us. He said we're zombies, and somehow that they were going to do what they do to zombies. They're going to cap us. And I was thinking, oh yeah, that would be a good idea to try that. But that's how these things start, from Moses up to the Civil War, and the fights for independence everywhere. It was always about the same thing. Some jackass thought he had some slaves and needed to be taught a lesson. And that's where this thing's going. They think that Mgtow was somehow inferior. And that's what he said. He said, and the other guy that made a video about him, that somehow Mgtows were inferior maters. It's like, it's like, no, mating's easy. It takes like 10 minutes, and then you go away. That's the mate. You just leave. And then, oh, no, you have to stick around and take your shit for the rest of your life. That's what makes you a man. It's like, no, you don't. That's a Christian rule that they made up jackasses like them. That's not a rule in the real world. That's just for jackass rule. That's a jackass rule for the jackasses to believe. No, Mgtows don't believe that. You want a mate. It's just a 10-minute thing that happens once in a while in your life, and then you leave as fast as you can. Because you're not supposed to live with a woman, because that's misery. Every man knows it, and every married man says it. Oh man, I just need some time away from my wife. She's driving me nuts. I mean, every man says, I don't want to go home on Friday night. I got a pocket full of cash, and I just don't want to go home. Because it's misery. It's stupid. Everybody knows it's a lie. Don't get married. Don't even preach it. What they really want is slaves. They want divorce court slaves and men that give all their money. Can you imagine giving 70 or 80% of your check to the state and a woman, which is the state? And you've already given. And the redundancy of the taxes are just crazy. We give like 30 to 50% of our pays, mostly 42% I had it figured out to in my prospective area, to a government that's supposed to take care of the girls with that money. That's what they're supposed to do with that. They're supposed to take care of the handicapped people. They're supposed to take care of the poor. They're supposed to take care of the girls with that. And then you get a divorce and then they recharge you like they didn't already charge you on every pay. That's a redundancy in taxation. And they'll do it through a family court. So yeah, it's a redundancy. You've already, as soon as you pay taxes, if somebody falls into poverty, they should be taken care of. But they want to spend it on wars and they want to line their fat pockets, and that's where the rich people want that money. They assume this is theirs. And that's why we have a gender dynamics problem, because they're not taking care of the woman like they said they were supposed to. Even though you're paying taxes for that. It's a redundancy problem in taxation. That's the logic on that. Jackasses. And then they want us to buy into it. Like, no, I'm not buying into that. That's stupid. That's stupid. And it's retarded. And I'm not that guy. I'm not the slave. But I don't want to talk about this no more. I'm going to go get something to eat and get another glass of water. I bought a new water filter today too, and I installed a new water filter so I can have better water, because I've been worried about whether my knee problem was from heavy metals or some kind of garbage coming through my water system. So I went and bought a new water system today. Hopefully it takes out all the estrogen and takes out all the plastic and takes out all the garbage and the lead and the heavy metals and arsenic. Arsenic is a heavy metal, by the way. So if my knee starts feeling better in a couple of weeks, I'll be like, son of a bitch, Flint water here. Yeah, they did that to the people in Flint. And yeah, so you be careful with the water you drink. Always filter it. And clean water is key for good health. Yes, it is. That's a good statement. Clean water should be a right in America, and that's what we should all start saying. Clean water is a right, and if you're pumping lead or arsenic or chemicals or estrogen down those lines, don't bother. Because if not doing a good job is not good enough in America. In most places in the world, I'll filter my own fucking water. If you're going to sell me a product that's just going to poison me, I'll filter my own fucking water. Don't worry about it. But in America, we have all these. They're getting sued for that now up in Flint, Michigan. And they're trying to protect them against getting sued. And I don't think they should sue them. I think they should take them out in the backyard, the governor there, and all those people that are involved in that, and beat their asses until they're half dead. That's what I think they should do to those people. When America had balls, when Americans used to have balls and they're real males like me and you in America, that's what would happen. There would be no argument. They would have already took care of that problem. There would have been a bunch of men walking out of an alley going, problem solved. They ain't never going to poison the water again. Jackasses. But predatory capitalism rules. And you should filter your own water, and because they will poison you in a heartbeat. And when you get older, all that stuff will go to your knees, and you'll start feeling your feet will start swelling. And you'll go, "Oh shit, maybe I should have put a water filter on." Okay, that's all I wanted to talk about today. MGTOWs are different. We think about things differently. We're trying to get back to the days where there's not so much stupidity and arrogance and absurdity in the world. Uh, but it's not an easy place to go when 60% of the males are just jackasses. And we need a lot more help. And we got to get out there and convert these idiots. But until that happens, it's just me and you guys, and that's our job. And that's what I'll thank you for every time I see you. And with the end of this, like always, I say thanks for being Mgtow, because it's your job now. Thanks a lot, guys.